Deploying Jamf Safe Internet to your devices is a straightforward process. Install an activation profile and install the Jamf Trust app. Once both items are in place, the device is instantly secured and monitored for threats by Jamf Security Cloud. However, before we deploy Jamf Safe Internet to devices, it is a good idea to organize and prepare our web protection policy and activation profile groups first. This ensures that by the time devices are enrolled, no further action is needed from students or administrators. This is Zach. Let's prepare Jamf Safe Internet for deployment. An activation profile enrolls a device into Jamf Safe Internet and either assigns it to a specific group you have created or leaves it in the base or default device group. This group membership determines what web protection settings are enforced for that device. You may only require the base group, applying your policy settings to all devices equally, or you may want to create multiple groups and fine-tune which groups have specific security settings. Perhaps in my deployment, I've been asked to review our base policy and create a specific web protection policy for our 9th grade students that have a health class assignment to complete. Let's begin on the dashboard. Navigate to Devices, Activation Profiles. Jamf Safe Internet comes pre-configured with an activation profile if you want to jump right into enrolling devices. I'm clicking Create Profile to create a new activation profile. Give the profile a descriptive name. I'm entering 9th grade activation profile, and then select a group from the device group list. If we don't see a device group in this list, we can type in the name of the group we'd like to create and click Create option in the dropdown to create the group. With the profile named and device group set, click Save and Create to save the profile. Next, let's configure our web protection policy, which contains all of the security settings that are applied to our devices. In the sidebar, click Policies, then Web Protection Policy. At the top, we can see that we are editing the base policy in the group level pop-up menu. Web protection policies work on an inheritance system. The root level policy becomes the default configuration for all Leaf organizational units, and the Leaf policy is the default configuration for all groups. It might help to visualize this as a pyramid, with the root level at the base, the Leaf level above that, and the group level at the top. If we choose our 9th grade group from the group level menu, we can edit that specific group's settings without affecting the base policy and all our other devices. Let's return to the base policy and explore a few of the available settings. On the Security Rules tab, we are shown a list of web threat categories with a simple Allow or Block button for each category. If a student attempts to visit a site that falls under one of these categories and the action is set to block, the connection will not be permitted and a block page will be shown instead. Each of these security threat categories seem like good things to block to me, so I'm leaving each of these set as they are and moving on to the Content Rules tab. Here, we see a similar list of categories and action buttons that instead correspond to different types of content a student might encounter on the internet. At the top, there are 3 preset buttons we can use to allow or block groups of content with a single click. Safe Internet comes selected by default and is configured to block all content that is non-compliant with regional child safety restrictions. This includes adult or extreme content, gambling, and tobacco, among others. The High Data Usage preset blocks media content that might consume a large amount of data, such as video, social media, gambling, and cloud storage. The Unproductive Content preset blocks content that may be distracting to students, such as social media and gaming. I'm selecting Safe Internet and Unproductive Content. If we'd like to change settings not covered by the above presets, we can scroll down and allow or block specific settings as needed. For example, I'd like to include entertainment content in this policy, which is not covered by the above presets. I'm scrolling down to the Entertainment category and selecting Block on the right to block that category. Each of these categories can be expanded to reveal subcategories as well, which allows for more fine-grained control over what content is permitted. For example, scroll down to Productivity and click the plus button to expand the category. Perhaps I'd like to ensure my students only use a specific approved search engine, like Google Safe Search, on their devices. We can achieve this by selecting Block under Search Engines and then adding Google as an exception to the policy later. When configured to your liking, click Save and Apply to save the page. Moving on to the Search Rules tab, we can enforce Google Safe Search and YouTube Restricted Mode on devices. Since these settings are configured at the root level of my organization, the settings are grayed out and non-interactive. If we'd like to remove this enforcement, select the Override switch at the right and then select or deselect the settings as needed. Next, on the Custom Rules tab, we can allow or block specific domains, URLs, or IP addresses for devices. Remember that we previously blocked all search engines, but are enforcing Google Safe Search as our chosen search engine. We can allow our devices to use google.com by entering that domain here. Enter google.com in the Add Custom Rules field, pressing Return after typing to create the domain. Select Allow under Policy Action, and then click Add Custom Rules. You can continue to add or remove access to specific sites or IP addresses by using the Add Custom Rules field. Once complete, click Save and Apply to save the custom rules. What if you aren't sure if a domain or URL is going to be blocked by one of the rules in your web protection policy? On the Domain Checker tab, we can enter a website or IP address to check what category it is classified as in the Jamf Security Cloud database. If we check google.com, we correctly see that search engines is returned. If we look up jamf.com, both business and industry, as well as other technology, are returned. If you're ever unsure of what category a domain falls under, the Domain Checker will let you know. Finally, with our base policy configured, let's adjust our 9th grade policy for the assignment they need to complete. In the Group Level menu, choose 9th grade. If we return to the Content Rules tab, we can see that all the settings we configured in our base policy are still applied here. This is because all group policies begin by copying or inheriting their settings from the base policy. My 9th grade students are working on a health class assignment on the effects of vaping, and their teacher has requested they be allowed access to sites in that category in order to complete their work. To search for a specific category, use the field in the top left to filter the category list. I'm entering tobacco, and we can see that it comes up as a subcategory under Lifestyle. Select Allow under Policy Action, and then click Save and Apply at the top to save the web protection policy. If we use the Group Level menu at the top to change between the base policy and the 9th grade policy, we can see that the base policy still blocks tobacco-related sites, while my 9th grade devices will be allowed to access the content they need to complete their work. With our activation profile created and web protection policy set, we are now prepared to deploy Jamf Safe Internet. Check out one of our deployment videos for your specific platform for a step-by-step walkthrough of the deployment process to devices. Thanks for watching.